Hi.
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 Also, thanks.
Hey, everyone.
So in a few minutes, I will be handing over the mic to these guys, let them rock the stage. But I also want to know about you guys behind the camera, listening in. How are you doing? So how have you been working from home the last weeks, right? So I want to do a little check-in, check how is the mood. Is it number one? Are you super fit, crazy, everything under control? Are you number two, working like crazy? Are you number three, chilling on the couch, or are you like the guy on the right with the kids? Let me know in the chat. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Let's see. 2 and 3. 2, fucking 4. Oh, yeah. I have to say I am 2 and 4 as well. But you know, it's good to sometimes also be number 3. Where's the dog? Yeah. Okay, guys. Great. Thanks. So loving this interactivity, and you have to know Fuckup Nights is about interactivity with the crowd. So please share thoughts, ideas, questions in the chat. Before we get started, what is Fuckup Nights? Some of you might have heard about it or even attended one of the events across the globe. Some of you are new to the concept, so I'll do a brief introduction. So Fuckup Nights is not just an event, it's really a worldwide movement, and it's a community where stories of failed businesses, projects, and careers are shared. Each month across the globe, people get on stage or behind their computers now and share their professional fuck-ups in front of a group of complete strangers. And at first that sounds and feels very uncomfortable, I can imagine. Why would you share your failure? But by opening up and being honest to yourself and to others, owning your mistakes, you get out of that comfort zone. And that's where learning happens. And that's where growth takes place. And that is what Fuck Up Night is all about. Getting failure out of the taboo, using it, and helping people break free from the limitations of how we live our lives. And that is exactly the reason why we chose to bring Fuck Up Nights to Skopje. So Fuck Up Nights is actually a reality check. So here's the expectations we all have in our professional life, right? It's picture perfect, the view is great, all is great, you're on top of the world on a smooth sailing ship, and it's everything you ever imagined, right? Well, wrong. This is the reality kicking in. So it's really a reality check. It's not sugar-coated, it's raw, it's real, it's refreshing to hear the failures instead of the success stories. So we're not celebrating the fails, but we're celebrating the learnings that come out of the failure, because we learn more when we fail. It's simple as that. And that's why I really love this quote. Failure sucks, but it instructs. And that's really how it is. You know, it's about making the mistake, acknowledging it, owning it, and learn from it. So maybe you're behind the camera thinking, well, I've done some fuck ups in my life. Well, I would love to hear from you. So if you are inspired by this talk, reach out to me, and we're planning already a new one in 3 months. So this is my ask of you guys if you would like to be the next speaker. So hit me up if you want to. Before we start, let me get back a little bit in time and understand where Fuck Up Nights was originated. And it was in 2012 in Mexico, where 5 friends were having some drinks in a bar, drinking mezcal. Let's say rakia in our country, but mezcal is in Mexico. And I don't know if it was because of the mezcal, but they all felt very loose and loosened up after work, and they started sharing stories about failure. And the next day, woke up, and it felt very liberating to share these failures. And they decided, you know what, we're going to do this again with some more people, and again and again. That was 2012. Now, 8 years later, we're with Fuck Up Nights in over 300 cities in over 90 countries in the world. So Fuck Up Nights is really a movement of people sharing failures. Well, this is how it would look like in the world. And last year alone, 321 cities, 91 countries, and 2,265 stories about failure were shared. Yes, also in Skopje. And I have a great slide for that. This is Fuck Up Night Skopje in December last year in the Speakeasy bar. Unfortunately, we're not in a bar now, but you know, you can see here the speakers really stood in front of a bunch of people they didn't know. They're putting themselves out there, being open and vulnerable, and sharing their failures and lessons learned. It was intimate, it was interactive, it was impressive, and it was epic. And I'm sure it will be as epic now as it was last year. So a little setup and ground rules. So we have 3 speakers. They will speak about 10 minutes. Afterwards, there's a Q&A. So if you would like to ask these people something, you can raise your hand. You're on mute the whole time, but if you like to speak, raise your hands so we give you the mic during the Q&A afterwards. You can also leave comments. We will scan these for questions or emojis or shout-outs in the chat. So we make sure that we have some good questions for our speakers, after their talk. So these are our 3 fuck-uppers. We have Goran, we have Zoran, and we have Keith. Goran, he's a creative entrepreneur, and he's also the owner of restaurant Allspice in Skopje. You should definitely go there if you haven't tried yet. It's delicious when they open again. He will talk about voices in his head. We have Zoran, an entrepreneur who's passionate about building products, but he's not too sure about following your passion, being a great advice. And we have Keith calling in from Canada, who runs a successful incubator and accelerator program, but the road to get there was paved with some fuck-ups. So without further ado, let's give it up for Goran, our first speaker of the night. Goran?
Unmute. Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
So, thank you, Roland, for the introduction. And thanks for having me on this event. So, hello, all of you guys out there, in front of your computers. We have our drinks. Hope you have your drinks too. It would be great if we were in the bar, but we're not. We are under the curfew, and I need to say that the name of the event, it's really kind of it's great for this kind of a hashtag stay home situation. So it's already fucked up. So let's continue, let's do it. So in just like in a short, I'm a creative director, dreamer, coach, brainstormer, designer, doer, strategist, illustrator, rebel, learner. I co-found a boutique in my life. I co-founded boutique agencies, startup concepts. I was a creative director at communication, branding, and innovative agencies in the region, Middle East, where I launched the biggest Angry Birds theme park in the world, working for clients like Vodafone, Maersk Oil, Audi, Nikon, Qatar Airways. So my entire working history is around creative industries, So around crazy ideas, the stories that aim to change the world, big expectations, a lot of crazy nights, but also killer deadlines, great time at the beach, brainstorming, but then rejections, fuck up nights, big dreams, then more rejection, and in that kind of a loop. So during this creative process, I had voices in my head, like, oh boy, this is a great idea. That's the shitty one, don't go there. No one will give you money for that, it's too risky, the voices of your kind of of your fears, and then the client voices, all sorts, So we all have them, If you listen carefully, you will hear them, and it's not a multiple personality disorder, believe me, it's our just intuition, our inner voice. So my story is that kind of a real relationship with my intuition, me, myself, and I, Story about hearing the voices. Not sure if they're telling you to do something or not to do something, And the trick is, if you guess right, or if you have the ability to recognize which one it's true, then you are the winner. But otherwise, it's just another fuck up. So to be honest, like for some of them, I was aware back then when they happened, and I tried to convince myself and the people around me to do the opposite, or to try to avoid them. The other ones I had to face once again while I was preparing this presentation. So I need to say that this presentation and preparation for this event, it was kind of a really valuable learning experience for me, but in one way, and then in another way, it was a great therapeutic kind of a moment, you know. But just to sum up, like, hello, my name is Goran, and I fucked up. So we were four friends, to continue with my story, and people who love books, you know. And we were passionate about our work, and we let the beauty of what we love be what we do. So I just finished this Angry Faces, you know, finished the Angry Birds adventure in Qatar, where I launched a huge theme park, a 2-year project, a multi-million-dollar. So I came back to Macedonia, and we started the Publico Mart. So the Publico Mart was a design and a publishing company for cool and unique books-related gifts, you know, dedicated to book and art lovers. So the book buyers were so excited about our approach, the products, and we landed our first distribution contract immediately after the first presentation in London. So they just started purchasing the second quantities for the European market. Then we signed our next contract. So with the second largest independent book distributor in US and Canada. And boy, yeah, it was a great to be in our shoes that time. You know, we conquered the half of the world from Macedonia in just less than a year and a half. So, and we just started exporting our kind of the second quantities, and our distributors in US were doing a great job. You know, they had a great B2C network, national museums and independent bookstores. So they were selling our products in a big retail company like Barnes & Noble, a Fortune 1000 company with the biggest number of and largest number of the retail outlets in the US. So we had our entire kind of a product offer at Amazon Prime. Our kind of a small community of literature book lovers were so excited about the products, about the fresh designs also, because what we made something that still it's different, you know, unlike anything else on the market. So the business was blooming, and we ended up having a huge kind of a list of 150 plus barcodes and the huge selection of different designs in every in different product categories. So my inner voice was selling like a less is more, less is more. But come on, you know, like everyone was like in love with those designs, you know. The two main executives from London publishing house, they show up in Skopje, they were demolishing plates of kebabchina and the pints of beer, you know, and they were talking just about our designs. So about the great feedback that they had from the big kind of bookstore owners, and then the inner voice was yelling at me, like, you know, but I shut him off with the more beer, and like we decided to go with the additional more 10 designs. So because of the huge product list, we were forced to chase the price rather than the quality. You know, instead of having a fewer but better products, we ended up having our prototypes as a final product. So the notebooks were so bad that even we were not using them. You know, the book buyers, they were buying the notebooks just based on the design of the cover. But, you know, don't judge the book by its cover, set my voice in your head, you know, and like it was kind of really weird to hear that kind of a voice. And after a great kind of a start of the second year, selling in the US and the UK, we got a collaboration offer to design products for the British National Museum. And we closed the deal with the micro investment fund, private equity fund from Macedonia, who became our partners in the company. They saw the potential of our innovative products in the pipeline, you know. And then the battle with my inner voice continued. We did so many things. We fundraised money. We changed the transportation company twice. We designed new collection. We added more products. We developed new packaging. We continued kind of negotiating with the British National Museum. We did everything except what my inner voice was telling me. And it was shouting at me, focus, you know, focus of those innovative products that you have. We had extra money from the investors. We had great innovative tech ideas, you know, for products, and that would probably differentiate us from the competition and would give us like a really a great competitive advantage over the biggest kind of industry leaders. But we did all of this, but we didn't build the brand around us, you know. We didn't support our distributors. We let them down. We let our products completely alone out there on the shelves, you know, like just discardable by the accidental kind of walking customers. I didn't listen to my inner voice, you know. And once again, we were really lost as an executive team, and as a partner, we didn't share the same kind of a vision. And as a company, we didn't have a clear kind of a direction where we're going. And somewhere after the third year, in the same time with my departure as an executive creative officer at Publicumart, we got an offer to start selling in Australia. And the rest of the partners, they accepted and they opened a new market. Then we manufactured and we shipped the products into Sydney. And after kind of a short after that, we opened another new market, South Africa. And then we opened too many new markets, but we lost the biggest one, the US. So one successful startup story became a fight for survival just within just a couple of months. So look, it looks, you know, probably for you guys that it was a lot of fuck ups for one small company. All of them were potential kind of a fatal flaws in our business adventure. I know there are many fatal flaws that exist in most kind of innovative startup ideas that can ruin the business, you know. But for me, that annoying voice in my head was damn right, you know. Like we were all over the place, and I didn't follow my own intuition, you know. So what did I learn from this fuck up was that the most important part for your brand or the business is to have a great, really and healthy relationship with your inner voice. And because everything starts with it. But the main challenge is to recognize the right one and to follow it. So guys, that's my story. Stay safe, stay true to yourself in every single decision you're making. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Goran. Yay! Thank you, Goran.
So,
yeah?
This is questions.
Exactly. I'm looking at, clapping, exactly. I'm looking at this chat if there's any questions. If not, I will take the liberty to ask one or two. So is anybody out there who wants to ask Goran a question? Any question?
What? Oh, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
I didn't put my hand up. Sorry, I just unmuted myself. I should be following the rules. What was it that you think made you ignore your inner voice? Was it your own ambition, or was it the ambitions of the people that were around you?
Yeah, I think that it was the ambition of all of us. It was kind of like some kind of a, even I shared this before the talk, that I said, like, when you're really have this quick success, the adrenaline is pumping up. So you're not really thinking about what your inner voice is telling to you, you know. It's just this adrenaline that is kind of like, wow, you know, we are selling in US, you know, we are selling in UK. And those buyers, they're just like, give us more, give us more, give us more, you know. So that was the kind of the mislead that I had, because the inner voice was telling like just like a put on the brake, you know, just go one by one, you know, go with those innovative products, you know, go with less products, you know. But then because of all that situation around, because of that adrenaline of the success, you know, I completely missed my inner voice. It was somewhere in the background, like a background music.
Could you share, I have two questions. Could you share maybe, was there one specific moment in time when you did realize, oh, fuck, this is wrong? Can you, you know, maybe take us, you know, in that emotion in a certain moment? And the second question I have is, you obviously now started a new business, like opening a restaurant. is there any learning you took from, this fuck up in opening a new business? So 2 questions.
Yeah, I still have my online branding agency, so I also had the same challenge there, because I didn't want to go big. I said like, okay, listen to your voice, and definitely this is the only thing that I want to mention. Stay true to yourself. That's the best kind of a decision that you can make. If you stay true to yourself, any decision will be definitely right. So basically, that specific moment that I had, as to go back to your first part of the question, it was when I realized that we have way too much products, but those products, they were not different. They were just products well designed. Yes, they were a good design with a good message, but when I will open the drawer with those innovative tech ideas, with the literature, I said like, whoa, man, why we're not doing this? So basically, that's the 2 moments that I can kind of highlight.
Thank you. Anyone else still in the call wants to ask Goran a question? No? Thanks, Goran.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you mind unsharing and let Zoran share it? Yeah.
Let me just try.
Hey, I'm already unmuting myself.
Yes. Let me see.
Ready to go.
Hi, everybody. What's going on? Is everybody safe and enjoying the I was gonna say summer. I'm like already in summer right now. Enjoying the spring.
Yes, we are.
Nice. Let me know when I can share. I cannot share it.
Yeah, my computer just kind of now.
Okay, perfect. I try to make it faster. Okay, that's my title. Here we go, everybody. Hello. Nice to see you all here. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're enjoying your stay at home, and I hope you're enjoying your springtime through the window. But I'm really happy to see people enjoying it a little bit more and more. And I think things are starting to get better. But anyways, here we are to talk about my fuck up. Just want to confirm. Are you guys seeing my presentation right now? Is all cool? Perfect. Okay, so my name is Zoran Nasteski. I'm one of the co-founders of Cupic. But before Cupic, I did a lot of stuff, and one of the good stuff that I did was actually called Free Hugs. Me and a bunch of friends here in Skopje decided to found an organization that will offer hugs to people that will actually visit the city. That was 10 years ago. But in between my timeline and now, I have a business with my partner that we run a digital product for retailers. In between, I had a huge failure, which actually impacted my life as I see it today. And I cannot say I'm happy it happened, but I'm happy I learned from it. So here we go, back in time. I'm going way back. So I want to start when I was a kid. I'm a 3 years old kid that enjoyed breaking things and making my own stuff. And I'm saying this because that's the time when I realized what's my passion. My passion was to create my own stuff. And I knew that I'm a creative person. Like I didn't like the toys that my parents got me. I would break them. Like, yeah, this is my gun car. I want to build my own stuff. And I had a pretty nice childhood. I love my siblings. I love my folks. But what's really important about my childhood is that I went through 2 transitions. And the first one, I believe that everybody knows here, is the transition when Macedonia separated from Yugoslavia. And when everybody from being a publicly owned company, state-owned company, went to a privately owned company. And that's the first transition when my dad lost his job. And from 5-member family, we barely scraped enough to live through the month. My mom used to make 150 euros. It was 5-member family to survive on that much amount of money. So the transition hit us pretty hard. And because of that, my sister had to leave for Canada to find a job, to find her career and to build up. I had to start working. I had to provide for the family, and it was pretty hard. And the second transition that happened, it was more inspiring to me, was the transition going from analog to digital. That's when the first phone started to show up, arcade games, video games, and it was so great to see that. It inspired me because in computers, you can create and change and make stuff that will actually be useful to other people. It inspired me to a level where I decided that that's gonna be my passion in life. I'm gonna follow it. So that's when I found my first job. My first job was, I was 9 years old and I worked as a clerk in an internet cafe. Back then, internet cafes were places where people go to check their emails and play video games. So I worked there to make money, to be able to school myself, to make money, to be able to bring money home, and to be able to learn at the same time. I had access to computers because we didn't have money. I didn't have a chance to work, to have a computer for myself. During this time, it was so hard for my family. I think that this broke our family so much, but we kind of stayed together. And that's really important for me to mention because this is the time that actually shaped my life. And going fast forward, I want to show you this picture, and you probably see what is this dumb art. But this picture is, I found it recently in my computer. This is my first Photoshop art. This is the first picture that I did in Photoshop, and I kept it. I loved it so much. And yeah, from that point on, I did everything to learn about creativity, about creating in digital, building video games, building software, and trying to make my own stuff. So from that point, I started building my career in digital and following my passion. I went to the US, I studied, I worked hard, I worked for really good companies and really good producers. I met a lot of creative people, and I believe that when I was 25, I reached the top in my career. I was so satisfied that I built myself up just using a computer and my knowledge and being able to provide and tell my mom that, look, Mom, you're not the only person that have to work right now. You're not the only person that have to provide, you know, like I made it. So when I was 25, I came back from the States and I decided to start my own company. And I was so proud that I started my own company that I was able to tell my mom, look, Mom, I'm an entrepreneur, you know, like I started my own company and I'm going to work hard, you know, I'm going to make it. And at that moment, my mom actually worked in the kindergarten. She retired from the kindergarten and she got a pension. And she was so proud of seeing me being able to provide and work. And about my company, it was a digital agency at that time. And I believe I brought in some of the smartest people at that time. I worked with some of the best people that were in Skopje, providing so much intellectual output for this company. I was so happy to go to my work every single day. And not only me, it was my employees, and that filled my heart. And following my passion got me there. But here is one really important thing about that nobody knew. I was skating on a thin ice. Even though I've managed to build a company that looked like a mountain, under that ice, there was huge problem behind that. I went to work every single day, ignoring the fact that my company used to make less money than we've spent. We've spent so much money on those creative people, 10x times more money than we've made money. We actually sold, we got projects, we had clients, but we never made to make enough money out of the passion that I had for the project. And by the way, I believed so much in that company because it was built out of passion. I had so much belief in this company, in this startup, that I kept ignoring this problem every single day, even going bigger and bigger debt every single month by month, borrowing from friends, borrowing from banks. And one day it all fell down. The ice broke and I had to face the reality. I had to fire everybody. everybody had to leave the company. I had to face the debt. I even started feeling this chest pain, and I had to go to a hospital. It was a stress, surprise, surprise. And what really hurt me the most by following my passion is that my mother, because she retired, she had to go back to work to help me recover from the debt that I had. So that was heartbreaking for me. And for me, that election, like, I really, really got destroyed from this. I'm like, I've managed to build a career out of this. I know I'm doing this really well. I know by following your passion, you can build great stuff. But then why did I get destroyed by this? Why did this hurt me so bad? And the lesson that I learned from that is that I really want to share with you guys is that, you know, passion is a tricky thing that everybody keeps talking about. But my reality and what I've learned from passion is that passion doesn't build a business. Passion is not the thing that makes business work. It will get you to work. It will get you to start your company. It will get you push fast forward. But there is so much more to be done in building a business. So to me, if there is all of these people in this world just working on their passion, I feel like there won't be a lot of great stuff done. Great stuff requires more than passion. It requires a lot of work, a lot of management, a lot of planning. So my message to you is that passion, it is important, but sometimes it can be doomed. So reconciliate, try to figure out what you're building, and try to build forward more manageable rather than just following your passion. So thank you so much. I hope you like my story, and I hope this will you'll use this to when you build your business. And please shoot questions.
First, a round of applause for Zoran. Wow. Zoran, thank you. I'm going to say I already, heard your story, but hearing it again, I still get, goosebumps. And thank you so much for being so honest. Really appreciate it. And yeah, what can I say? It's thank you very much. I first want to give the opportunity to the people behind the cam. Do you have any questions for Zoran in the chat, or maybe via the mic? If not, then I'm going to ask again. All right, so I'm going to ask. I have two questions, but I'm starting with one first. Is that if you listen to your story, and if you listen to the story of your other colleague, who was the first one, Goran, you kind of contradict each other, because he's saying,
I know,
you should listen to your inner voice, you should follow your passion, and you're saying you should not follow your passion. So how do you see that?
I like that. It's really important to know stuff like that. Not everyone's story is the same. But what I think that you can learn from listening to Goran and to Zoran, that's really interesting that we have similar names, is that you should follow your passion as well. But also, you should know that there is more into it just following your passion. Like, these days, competition businesses require more than just a passion. There is a lot of work. And if you only follow your passion and you want to bring a partner in, imagine that partner has a different passion. Sometimes tuning in with your partner, tuning in with your investors, tuning in with your clients, it's really important than rather just following your passion. I believe that passion is important to kickstart, but I also believe that tuning in with reality is also important to build valuable things.
Thank you. I see a question from Jade. She's asking, if you were to go back, what would you have done differently?
If I would go back, I would most definitely plan my things, first of all, rather than jumping in with all of this energy and motivation. When I got the passion, because I started my own company, the biggest peak was that when I started my company, I was so passionate about building a creative agency that I went on to find the most creative people. But these people cost. They have time put into this company. So I motivated them. I took the money, and then we started selling. What I would do, I would most definitely plan more appropriately and then execute and then try to build a company rather than just work out of passion and then getting stuck into that. If I go back, I would do it more smoothly, profit first, then bring more people on, and then build more sustainable company. This way I hurt the people. I hurt myself most of all. I shoot myself in the leg, and then I had to fire everybody, and it didn't work at the end. So yeah, plan, and then maybe passion, maybe motivation.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and Victor's asking, he's saying interesting and impressive story. My question is, what you have done differently in your new business venture? I think you already answered that question, but could you elaborate on that? What have you done differently in your new business venture?
So exactly what we did. We started small. What I want to mention is that through the first business that we failed, one of the guys, there was only one guy that stayed in the company, and that was my co-founder. And we did it really slow. We didn't did it out of passion. We planned what we want to do as a product. We draw that plan. We made a business plan. We made a prototype. We pitched with a prototype, and we got our first investment. Rather than just jumping into debt out of passion, try to build. Oh my God, we're gonna build so much great stuff. So we won with our first idea, and then we took it step by step. We still fail, but now we are able to control the failure and learn from it fast and recover.
Amazing, thanks. Yeah. All right. If there's anybody else who wants to ask Zoran a question, now is the time. No? Zoran, thanks again. Would you mind unshare your screen and give Keith?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. And
super.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right, everybody. I will do my share screen. Okay, guys, I need to change the system preference. I'm jumping out and I'm jumping right back in. So give me a second.
All right, we have our first fuck up of the night.
It's not fuck up nights without one.
We did do a rehearsal, Jade. You have to know this.
Yeah, but it is always in these meetings with passing the remote or sharing the screen or something like that every time. But that's what you expect, isn't it? It's good.
So is this for you the first time that you're like in the Balkan region, Jade? Like you did you ever have a fuck up night?
Normally we do it in webinars, so we don't all see each other. This is really nice that we can speak and interact like this. Oh, yeah. And yeah, it is the first time in your region. So thank you, you're pioneers.
I think Keith is live, so the floor is yours, Keith.
Great, thanks. All right, so just confirming you guys can see my screen okay? All right, setting my timer. Thanks for having me, everybody. So once again, my name is Keith, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Spring. And Spring is an organization that exists to change the world through entrepreneurship. We're headquartered in Vancouver, and I have the very good fortune of working with entrepreneurs, incubators, and accelerators around the world, and currently in about 35 cities. And I've had the good fortune of being in Skopje. Roland and I connected through some mutual friends, including Nina. And so I'm really excited to share my story. And so I'm actually going to replay back to 2005. And in May of 2005, I was leading a company. I was actually a part of a company called Idelic Software. And we were in the data visualization user experience world. And we were in the middle of a fundraising, and the board of directors fired the CEO with 6 weeks of cash left. And they called me up and they said, "Hey, we just fired the CEO." And I said, "Wow." Like, I was kind of shell shocked, and I was like, "So what's the plan?" And they said, "Good luck." Literally, that's what they said. So with 6 weeks of cash And my payroll was $110,000 a month, total payroll. And so amazingly, over the course of the summer, we actually were able to survive. And in part because we actually took our data visualization software and we actually started to adapt it to new markets. And so I'm showing you guys this funny old user experience from a mobile phone. But we actually created one of the first smartphone user interfaces back in 2005 before the iPhone was launched. And at the same time that we were doing this user interface software, we also came up with this separate idea for hyper-local advertising on the internet, where we could actually place ads down to the street corner based on where you were standing or what information you were interacting with on the internet. And so we were actually, at the same time as we were the first mobile smartphone user interface, we also had the first ever hyper-local ad platform. And so we coined the name Lat49 for that product. And so we had these two products that we were running. And so the challenge that I started to find, and it's really interesting going back to the first story about, you know, going with your gut, is as this kind of voluntold, you know, CEO of this company, I realized that we had apples and oranges. That, you know, on one hand, we had this one company that was about user interface software. And then we had this second company, the Orange, and it was about an advertising platform. And I really realized quite early on that, you know, if we wanted to get to where we needed to be, that these two products and these two markets were in conflict. And so what I want to do is I want to fast forward this process to 2007. And we were heading into a board meeting. And again, I was not a founder of the company, and I had not been the original CEO. I, you know, been kind of nominated in. And so I knew that we were coming to a place where we were going to run into a problem. And part of the reason for that is because Nokia, who at the time, for, you know, a little history lesson for you guys, is that Nokia at the time had 69% of the entire phone market on the planet, right? Like literally as close to a monopoly as you could get. And so they came and they were interested in buying our company. And so the initial conversation that was being had was for 15 million US, so about 15 million euros. And so it's just, you know, for me to go through this transition of like, we had to save the company from like them firing the CEO and we have no cash. And then like within 2 years, we had like this offer for at least 15 million. That was their initial offer from Nokia. I was like, this is success. Like this is the turnaround. But what kept kind of focusing in on me was this notion of like, you know, half the company is one thing and half the company is the other. And we're missing out on an opportunity here. And so because I was feeling that way, I knew that two things. One is I thought it would put the acquisition at risk because Nokia might want one half, but not the other half. And then the second thing is that for shareholders, you know, if we sell it all together, we're not going to get as much value. Like we all are not going to win in the same way that if we separated them. And so for me, that was my belief. And so I actually went so far as to like reach out to some people that I knew. And so this picture is Ken Spencer. And Ken Spencer built the first billion-dollar company in Vancouver. He's incredibly successful. And so I remember talking to Ken. I was at a coffee shop. I will never forget this day. And we're at this coffee shop and I'm like, hey, Ken, like, what do you think we should do? Because it's kind of apples and oranges. And this is kind of what I'm thinking. And so what was interesting is he made this comment. He said, Keith, he said, congratulations. This is your lie across the railroad tracks moment. And I was like, Ken, what do you mean? And he said, there are moments in time where if you go to your board meeting or you go to your investors and you say, hey, you know, this is the path that we need to go down. And if your board says, no, you need to go another way, this is the time where you have to say, listen, this is the way we have to go. And if you choose to go another way, that's fine, but I'm out. And so he was literally telling me I had to like kind of confront the board and say, it's my way or the highway, right? And so at first I was like, really, like, there's got to be some other options. And then Ken literally, like at a coffee shop, he stood up just like this and he put his finger in my chest and he's hitting me like this guy who's worth like $1 billion, right? And he's like, listen to what I'm saying. This is what it is, right? And so I remember thinking to myself, like, what do I do now? Like, is it that bad? And do I really need to like lie across the tracks? And so, one of the things that I, was like, oh, like, am I the guy who's supposed to be the hero in all of this? And so it was really interesting because I got to this place and I remember going into the board meeting and sure enough, I said, hey, board, Nokia wants to buy half the company. Let's split it in half and then we can sell half and we can keep going with the other half, and we can make even more money. And sure enough, the board started to go the other way. And so then I was sitting there and I'm like, Ken told me what to do. Ken told me what to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. And then I didn't. And so I actually allowed the board to do what it was that they wanted to do. And so that meant, just to be clear, we had 16 people from Nokia fly in from Finland the next week, spent 2.5 days with us. And at the halfway mark of the second day, the senior VP who was there to buy the company, he said, this stuff is great, but I don't understand this stuff. And then I knew we were going to lose them and we lost them. And so they ended up not buying anything. And so because of that, then after the fact, the board split the company in half. But by then it was actually too late. So the end result was this: 12 million invested in the business. We ended up having to bankrupt one of the two companies and we sold the other one for 2 million. So a net loss of $10 million. And it was a really incredibly hard experience for me. And if there's one thing I wanted to convey to you is that in life as a leader of a business, there are times where you have to lie across the tracks, where you have to stand for what you believe in. And my only encouragement to you is it's courage, right? You just have to, when the time comes, trust me, you'll know when it is. But the other part is that the ultimate failure that I made is that I actually realized that I was trying to be the hero alone. In all that time, remember I talked to Ken and Ken said, this is what you need to do. I actually never went to anyone for support. Like I actually never talked to anybody about it. And so it was the failure was not in disagreeing or agreeing with the board. The failure was there was a monumental, courageous decision that needed to be made. And I tried to do it on my own. And I did not rely on my team. I did not rely on the people around me. And so now the team that I'm showing you now is my team at Spring. And so if there's one thing I've learned through that process is Spring is not me. Keith is not Spring and Spring is not Keith. This is Spring, right? And all of our businesses are our team. And so my encouragement to you as I wrap is just know always that there will be 2 or 3 or 4 times in your career where you will have to lie across the tracks. And my comment to you is do it with courage. Do not do it alone. And if you need help, like please reach out to me, Roland, reach out to some other people who are around you for that support because they are critical times. And that's my story.
Hey, that's amazing.
I'm just going to stop share so we can actually see some faces and just go through any questions that may be coming up.
Keith, thank you. I'm still, I have to admit something to the group. I did say we did a rehearsal, but we did a rehearsal with Zoran and Goran. Keith wasn't in there. So I actually, it was the first time hearing your story and I'm just, I'm recovering. It's you took us really back in time and the story was really like I was there in that boardroom. And what I found very interesting about your story, it's not a question, I'm just talking now, is that I thought it was going in some direction, and then at the end you had a little treat. Like it was not about this making the decision or not. It's about not relying on the team, and I think that's very insightful. And I just want to yeah, I don't know. I want to add something to it, if you don't mind. I just talked
Please.
about prior to the meeting. There's this great documentary on Netflix now of Michael Jordan. It's called The Last Dance. So everybody, when this webinar is over, go and watch Netflix. And he's obviously the best basketball player in the world. But and I'm going to spoil it a bit, episode 4, one of the moments he realized that he could not do it on his own was then at some point he had this new coach, Phil Jackson. And it was really against, I think, the Detroit Pistons, what was the Angstgegner. And then at some point, a few minutes before the end, he says, give the ball to Paxton. And Michael Jordan was, what the fuck, but everybody was double teaming him. And then, but he finally realized after not winning the league in 3 years in a row, okay, give the ball to Paxton. And he was shooting 3-pointers. And it's a great moment, even for the big, Michael Jordan, to realize I have tried to do it on my own all these years. And we never won, the championship. And now relying on my teammates. And then, they actually won the first trophy. So it's a great lesson, I think, we're sharing with us. Like, it's not about you being brave or you having to make that decision, but it's relying on your team. So I think it's very, very, very insightful story. And I want to deeply thank you for sharing it with us. So thank you again.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I don't know why I came up with this documentary, but I just love these kind of real life stories where you can also learn lessons from, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So let's have a look at the chat if there's any questions from people out there.
Yeah, definitely happy to take any questions. And just as an aside, I'm sure it's the same with Goran, Zoran. Like, take a question now, take a question afterwards, connect with me in LinkedIn. But yeah, it's helpful. We were talking about this in the prelude to this session. It's helpful to share the story. It's not easy to share the story, watching all that value disappear and the bankruptcy happen. I'll tell you, boy, that, Zoran, when you were sharing about bankruptcy, I got to tell you, that's the freaking hardest thing to go through in life. And so, it's hard to share, but it was so helpful to share. And so, yeah, any questions at all would be great.
I'm going to raise my hand like virtually. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
Here, right here, not digitally, like in real time, like in school. So I really connected with that story, but I think it's on a totally different level. But it's still a feeling. But my question to you is, how do you feel today about it? Like, how do you feel? Would you like to have the chance and go back and fix it, if you could?
Yeah. So you know what, I'm gonna. Pretty decisive 2-part answer to this. One is never, ever, ever regret anything you do in business. If you regret, you will suffer unnecessarily. Life and business is about a set of lessons learned, and they make us who we are today. My comment to you is I carry this lesson every day, right? And so the benefit for me is it's a powerful lesson. And I will tell you, I have had since 2 more instances of lie across the track moments. And both times I have laid on those tracks and I have had 0 regrets, right? Like 0. Like, and by the way, like suffering and pain afterwards still, like it's neither here nor there, but I carry this lesson every day for sure. Yeah. But I carry it not as a regret. I carry it as a lesson. Yeah. Cool.
Thanks, Keith. I have a question from Eva. What did your advisor say after you didn't take his advice? Back to the guy with the cute dog and with the Crocs on.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty easy conversation. So I came out of the board meeting, and the next day, because Ken is a fabulous guy, he reached out and he called my phone. And I actually didn't take the call at first. True story. Like because I knew, right? So I let him leave a voicemail. I waited about an hour, and then I called him back, and he's like, "So what happened?" And I said, "Yeah, so this is what happened." And he's like, "Well," he said, "good lesson." That's all he said.
He did, yeah. Wow.
That's all he said. And so I, I'll tell you, I really value that. I really value that because he knew what I had set myself up for. He could have said, "I told you so." He could still say it to this day. But the important part is that as a friend, he was there for me when I needed him. And when, as a friend, when I fucked up, he did not say, "I told you so." And that makes a great friend, right?
Wow. Thanks. We have one more. How long did it take you to recover from getting a no from Nokia, and what did you go through out of the process?
So that's a two-part question. One is, what did the business do after the no? And then what did I personally do after the no? When Nokia said no as a business, that's immediately when we triggered the split, right? So then the board was like, oh, look, Keith was right, you know? And so then we triggered the split, and then we tried to accelerate the process as fast as we could. The only downside, of course, was, guess what? 2008 recession, right? Like literally we split the business right into the financial crisis of 2008. And so from that perspective, we responded as quickly as we could. On a personal level, it hurt all the way to the end of those two businesses. And actually for me, just so you guys know, it was enough for me that in late 2009, when we sold the second business, I actually left tech for 2.5 years. I actually took a 6-month sabbatical. I didn't work. I needed time. But that was actually, it was in that 6-month window that I realized that I was trying to carry the whole thing myself. That's actually where the realization that became this story happened. And so that's actually what happened in my case. Yeah.
Another one. What was your relationship with the board in general? And do you have any idea why they disagreed with your proposal?
Yeah. So great question. My relationship with the board members at the time was good and it was healthy. But because I had been through this process of, like, I had been a VP and then they had fired the CEO and I kind of got shoved into the role, I honestly, like, I never really felt like I was an equal at the board. And so I always felt like I was an employee listening to the board. And so the relationship actually wasn't really healthy. It was good, but it wasn't really healthy. And so I actually know exactly why it happened. We had a fund, a VC fund, that was in, like, an investor in the company, and they were on the board. And this fund is what we call, they were in sunset. And so sunset means they were at the end of the life of their fund and they needed to liquidate all of their investments. And so the board member who was a part of the VC fund, he did not want to see the company split because they needed to wrap everything up. So well-intentioned, but for selfish reasons, he's like, no, you got to keep it together, which was really code for, I got to get out of this thing because my fund is winding down. And so keep it together. So it was a personal reason. And I want you guys to take away two things from that. When you have investors or you have boards of directors, people are people, they're individuals. They will move according to their needs and wants and desires. That's point number one. But point number two is, please recognize that that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, they're not being bad people. They're just being people. So it's just really important to note always, when you have investors and when you have board members, to know what are their motivations, hopes and fears and dreams, and make sure that you're incorporating that into all parts of the conversation. So yeah, so that's probably my answer.
Super, thanks.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's I was hoping for being as epic as it was in the Speakeasy bar, but you know, from home it's just as powerful as in a bar. So thank you all for that. Anyone else? Now's the time, guys. Keith is here. Zoran or Goran is here. No? Keith, would you mind sharing your screen? Unshare your screen, and I'll take the rest of it.
Yeah, you bet. Pop it right back in.
Let's see. All right.
Sorry, it should. There we go. And we've gone through some questions. Do you want me to start here?
Oh.
Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
No, I think Roland means that you unshare it, but it was unshared before.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to unshare again?
Unshare
Yeah,
it, yes,
yeah.
please. Yeah. So I can.
Okay. Sorry.
That's not-
Okay, it's all yours.
All right. Thanks. So, guys, there you have it. Goran, Zoran, and Keith. Let's do another round of applause. I just want to applause again. So, I told you guys we want interactivity, right? This is the last slide. And I want to ask you guys in one sentence, what is your number one takeaway from tonight's webinar? And let me know in the chat. I give you a minute to think about this one sentence, your takeaway. And I would like to have a little discussion about that. I'm going to do it myself as well. Oh, how do I get into the chat? Oh. All right. So let me go through the comments. You're not on your own. Never follow your intuition, yet be very well prepared. Never regret. Take it as a lesson. Think smart before you do it. Believe in yourself. Business needs to be managed and things go south. Get over it. Always be true to yourself, but keep a level head. Find the balance between passion and the reality of business. Be honest to yourself for following your passion. Think smart. Don't dwell too much over your mistakes. There's always space for new ones. I mean, we've been talking for an hour, but there's so many learnings out of this 1 hour. It's incredible, and never cease to amaze me these fuck up nights. So I want to wrap it up. I want to say thank you for listening in. I want to say thank you again to Goran, Zoran, Keith, and Jade, and the Brainster ladies, Anja, Visera. I thought it was amazing. Yeah, but we have to stick to the timing, I guess. We have to watch Netflix and The Last Dance, right? This was it. I would love to give the mic to anyone else if someone else has the urge to say something. Otherwise, I'm gonna close it down. Is it a thumb for closing it down? Or yeah? Okay, guys. Thanks again. It was cool. It was amazing, and keep learning. Ciao.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.